Let's see. We are going live. All right, we're live. I believe we are up. Hold on. I think we got it. Yes, we are live.
Good. Is that your introduction?
No, it's not an introduction. Sorry.
I was pushing on Annie this morning to say, hey, you bring in the show. And how do you rate yourself on a 1 to 10 with today's introduction?
I failed. -2. Oh no, hold on.
Everybody, welcome back. Currently we still call it God's healing by the numbers. We're looking at just kind of having a steady platform on how we present everything. We just recently excitedly got a new website that just kind of says it all. It's docmisak.com, docmisak.com. It links up everything. It does show the coalition. You can't join on it yet, even though if you start trying to do it, but it can't show you some of the things that are happening. And I'm really excited about all the platforms and just kind of having them come together. And Annie, as I'm trying to get her involved, is the one who's really helping a lot of this to come along, and really excited about that. Today, the Bible app, I love going here. It's kind of an odd verse that came out for the day, but hey, we all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to our own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. Isaiah 53:6. And basically that's saying, hey, one thing that I really, just am so thankful for with God's grace is the fact that the price has been paid, people. I mean, everybody who lives in judgment and fear of judgment, the price has been paid. There's a final judgment to come, but in reality, Christ has already died. And all these crazy, stupid things that we do, he's readily there to accept and forgive, and his grace is just enough. So just keep that in mind. I mean, there's a lot of things going on right now. People living in fear, living in anxiety, people just the thought processes that are going on. I mean, some people, best friends, won't even come near you because, oh my God, you are a potential carrier. Yet you've been locked in your house for 2 weeks, and so have I. But stay away. I mean, come on, people. There is some basic emotional things that need to be in people's lives, and one of them is to know that we are together and that we have a support group, and just keep that in mind. So, Annie, what are we bringing to the table today? I'm going to put it on you.
Put it on me. Well, product or process is what we're calling everything. If I look in the chat, let's see. Red Label ordered a foot bath. We have some people that have ordered some testing from you this week and are very excited to get their results. But yeah, product or process, I would like you to talk about microbiome and products that you're using to clean your house and those types of things. That's where my head is this morning. So that's what I would like for you to address.
All right. Germs everywhere. There's germs screwing with my mind.
Yeah, germ theory, I guess.
That germ theory is out the door, in my opinion, but strongly embraced by the medical establishment. Germs are everywhere, people. They just are everywhere. And your vibrant immune system is meant to be ready for these germs. And so not everybody gets sick from a pandemic. It's based upon your susceptibility to a pandemic. And your general exposure to germs is what keeps your immune system heightened and ready and active and for these type of things. And so, when we're looking at the microbiome that is now being recognized that, hey, probiotics are a good thing. There's a lot more than just taking a good probiotic. Enderline and back in the 1800s, when they first started looking at under microscopes, and I can't think of his name right now, but Bichette versus Pasteur. Louis Pasteur created the, quote, germ theory, but he was taking the work of Francois Bichette. And Bichette was saying, hey, these germs are everywhere, but the terrain, what's going on inside, is what dictates whether these germs are able to thrive or not. And Louis Pasteur says, no, the germ is why we get sick. Kill the germ and we get better. And Bichette and Royal Rife and Enderlein and people like Kerry Reams and George Lavotsky and many others have said, no, you change the inner terrain and the bugs don't thrive. They fall back into their own balance. There is a balance between fungus, parasites, and bacteria in this world. It's just, it's just there. Or it's virus, bacteria, and fungus is the three. It's like the triad of germs. And there's a thing called pleomorphism. And pleomorphism has been proven by science that a bug can change from one bug to another. Well, we can think about a coronavirus that just changes and mutates. Well, yeah, and coronavirus for some reason is attached to some bacterial form. Interesting. It's like people who are dealing with chronic Lyme and having other co-infections. Coronavirus seems to be a co-infection right up front. That's odd, in my opinion. But microbes are everywhere, and it's not you shouldn't fear it. You should be prepared by just being healthy. Eat good foods. Take the right supplementation, which does not mean product always. In me, it means minerals. I think our soils, and we have so many issues with environmental toxicity, and we're depleting our soils and using fungicides and herbicides that are disrupting that bacterial fungal component of the soil that's supposed to create a network like the Avatar movie, that everything's connected, and where our soil has this interconnected ecology in there that's supposed to transfer and take the sugars that the plant creates and use that for their fuel while they exchange and give that plant minerals. Well, what happens if you don't put minerals back in the soil? What happens if you disrupt the microbiome of the soil? Is our food going to get what it needs to give you what you need in order to be healthy? People, we are connected to this planet. It's all in one. I love the Avatar movie, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And
me too.
And so there is so much when you're looking at a microbiome. There's been studies and research back in the 1960s attributing arthritis to specific microbes, attributing cancer to specific microbes. And that goes back to the 1930s with Royal Rife, Bacillus X, a bacillus species that he found in every positive person for cancer. And he called it a virus.
Wow.
So yeah, let's fear the virus, No. It's all, even Royal Rife says that people who have a balanced pH, the right terrain, they're not susceptible. Your pH dictates so much, people. Get some basic pH strips, $12. If I turn around and tell you to call my office, they're going to disappear. I usually keep 3 or 4 of them handy. But pH strips, just check your urine. Learn your patterns. That's what we want you to know. Learn your sugar patterns. Learn your pH patterns. And you will see what food does, because pH governs the speed of reactions. pH governs the ability of catalyst in your body to do what it needs to do. pH governs the ability of microbes to thrive or die. Let's talk about, God forbid we talk about the vagina, and there's, all these women who have recurrent yeast infections and things like that. The best cure that I have ever seen is boric acid capsules. You pick boric acid that you buy by Humco, and you can buy a 4-ounce bottle. I could show you right behind me for about $5 on Amazon. You get some empty vegetable capsules. You pack one full. Never, ever swallow it. It'll kill you. But for females, if you insert a boric acid capsule, what does it do? It changes the pH to where yeast doesn't thrive, but the Lactobacillus acidophilus, it needs to be acidic in nature. That is the only microbe that's really supposed to be present vaginally, thrives. And so you're changing the terrain, and then the BV, the bacterial vaginosis, the yeast infections, they go away as quickly sometimes as 24 hours, and sometimes within 5 days. Boom, I'm done. And people who get them recurrently, they can insert those things twice a week and be great. If you ever insert microbes into your into there, ladies, it should only be Lactobacillus acidophilus, not some probiotic that has a bunch of microbes that should not be there. So the research on microbes has been profound. There's actually a summit every year that's driven by Claire Labs in regards to looking at bugs and say, hey, for elderly, we need more of this. For the infants, we need more of this. And they're finding what probiotics are most appropriate. After antibiotics, you should take these probiotics. If you have this imbalance, you should take these probiotics, you know. And if you have SIBO, you should take, I mean, there's a lot of research out there. Bottom line, change the environment. Eat right for you. Know your chemistry. Learn your chemistry. I have come up with a new handout. And Annie's one of the only people who has seen it. There's probably about, I don't know, maybe 5-6 people now that have seen it. And Annie, what we've done is we've taken RBTI to a different level. We've used those prominent calcium food lists, and we just rearranged them. We rearranged them into you understanding, if this is where my chemistry is, these are the foods I should eat, not hunting. Oh, I got to eat anionic, or I just got to eat cationic, and how do I blend them? What beans can I eat? What vegetables can I eat? What fruit can I eat? Can I eat this? What condiments can I use? And so, Andy, what's your initial interpretation of that new handout? Because I'm jabbering again, and I want to drink my tea because I see you sucking on yours.
Absolutely. I've drank almost the whole thing. No, I think it's wonderful. I get stuck in pain cycles, and I, don't know what's going on, and I'm feeling terrible. So to have that list is crucial for me, because I can do something, because I don't have access to test my numbers all the time, but I can tell based on my pH, because that's what I can do at home, kind of what level I'm falling in, and how to eat a little better to give myself some help instead of hurting myself. Because a lot of times when you're hurting or feeling bad, you tend not to cook or eat correctly. You just kind of grab whatever's easiest and fastest, and so it helps me in that regard. We do have a couple of things here in the chat. Good things. Where is it? Ooh, I lost it. Earth Garden Living saying that our family is rekindling our relationship, and that her nerves are frayed out on Main Street America, but vitalometry is helping, which is wonderful to hear.
Oh, good.
But I think a big part of all this is that, your mind's a magnet. You have to be really cognizant of what you're thinking, what kind of patterns your brain's going through. Try to keep yourself healthy. Don't go down, turn the news off, turn off the news, start your garden. Don't dive into Main Street America. That's my advice. But I don't know, you asked me something and I went off on a tangent. I'm sorry. Just like
I like tangents. I do tangents all the time myself. It's that's what I do, just running on with whatever we're led to be. I mean, you could turn around and talk about anxieties, Earth Garden Living saying that it's helping with anxieties. And so, I mean, if you feel better, if you feel better physically, you're going to feel better mentally. And like one of the things with right now with all the stress and things that are going on, is people, this is an opportunity. This is a time where we can slow down. And I mean, I have, unfortunately, having to work alone in my office, I have been just revamping. I've been cleaning closets. I have been repairing walls. I have been just fixing things that, and looking at the systems and how they're working, because I have downtime to do things that I've been wanting and thought about doing for so long. And so that's where I really, just turn around and think that right now this is an opportunity for us to really find where we are and who we are, and to gather, find out what's important and who you are. It's so key. But are there any other people out in the chat just asking any?
Yeah, we have a few things going on. A guy is saying that his brother had his antibodies for coronavirus, or had the antibodies for coronavirus, but never had symptoms. The other person is asking, when do we get the food handout? So I guess you could
food handout. Well, the food handout is going to be for those who go to the retreats, and those who buy the book is what it's going to kind of be for now. I'm working on putting it together as a workbook for people, and It's basically the handouts that are available out there. I'm just taking them. I'm not recreating RBTI, people. I'm rearranging it. I'm giving it into a presentation form that I'm hoping that many of us can turn around and say, hey, this makes sense. One of the things that I hate about RBTI is that, the breakfast for a queen, lunch for a king, dinner for a pauper as an outline doesn't put limits on it. And we have so much overeating that goes on, and so when you're looking at breakfast for a queen and eating those carbs, that does not mean eat a flat, eat 10 pancakes loaded with crap syrup, and lunch for a king does not mean just eat a bucket of wings, and so there's an aspect of how do I blend, Ream's taught variety, and that we're the most complex organisms on this planet, so we need the most complex diet. And so that's kind of a real, aspect of making people aware of what they need to, how to connect with food and health. And so that's where the handout is to go, is to, when you're looking at a process, we've outlined with RBTI how to measure the process. We know what's perfect. And if you move away from perfect, then something's going on. And so when you're looking at how far you are, what, Ream's outline ranges. And so where range A is ideal, the perfect equation. But there's what we have called a healing range, that everyone says this is the healing range. This is where you get, because we've had so many years of breakdown and other things going on, that and depletion. It's nutritional depletion, that if you turn around and to get yourself back into a restorative, what we call the restorative range, the body has to process out junk. So you have to be able to eliminate that. Energy out has to occur. So those perfect numbers are near impossible to achieve, because you've had years and years and years of breakdown. Depending on how old you are, depends on how long it takes for those numbers. So we have what's called a working range. And as we get into that working range, that's where you're running most efficient. You're gaining energy well, and you're eliminating the waste well. And so that healing range per se is mostly governed by food. And so if we can teach you how to blend your foods to get a variety, how many servings of oil a day should you have? How many servings of vegetables should you have? How many servings of meat should you have? How many servings of beans and legumes? How many servings of fruit? Well, they're going to depend on your range, what range you fall in. And that's what I've been working on, is how do I outline, the same thing that you've been told on anybody who's listened to anybody who talks about RBTI, is the same thing is that, we're testing to find out what range we fall in, which gives a basic outline of how we should eat. And so I'm going to be going more and more into this as I develop this. And then the other aspect is, it's like, if you're obese, what percentage of our population is obese? It's up there. I think it's over 65%. Yep. I love going back and seeing, if you get back and go watch some movie from the early 1970s, that basically they're on beach stains. Show me a fat person. Yep. You don't find them. And then you go to the beach today, like, oh my God, she's wearing a bikini. I mean, it's excuse me, but I mean, so we have changed the food quality. We've changed the ratios of protein, fat to carbohydrate, and nobody looks at that stuff. And so there have been historical equations, the Cockcroft-Gault, I can't remember the name. It was in pharmacy school for calculating ideal body weight and things like that. And what are they doing? They're changing these ratios. Go look at a growth chart for kids from the 1970s and look at a growth chart for the kids today. Mm-hmm. They're no longer, now they're husky. Yep. You know what I mean? You can buy husky pants, and what would have been normal in my day are now called thin or lean or something like that. Mm-hmm. Is how they're, if you're buying kids, Slim, I think they're called, because they're normal sized kids, but they have to buy slim jeans. I mean, people, we need to go back and realize how to blend foods together. And so right now, if you're home, this is a golden opportunity for you to learn how to cook, chop up some vegetables, learn to make some food, and not just cut open a package or rip open a box, and how to get back to real food again. So that's, when we're looking at the process versus a product, it's very easy for me to come on here and for anybody to ask a question and for me to turn around and say, this is the product that you can take. And I guarantee you can go out there and find multiple shows, whether on the radio, whether on YouTube, that people are turning around and saying from a natural perspective, hey, I have this. And that person says, hey, you need to take this. We do need supplementation because we just don't get what we need from our food. But it's not about a pill for every ill. So
absolutely. We have one question on here. Someone ordered a refractometer, has no instructions. I'm new to this. Help me. Not sure what to do with it.
Okay. Well, it depends on the type of refractometer. The digital ones are great. They got a button that says 0 where you just put distilled water in there and you hit 0 and it calibrates it. And then you put your urine in there and you push the button and it gives you a reading. They're beautiful. $205 or something, but they're awesome. The one that I have that I've been using for over 9 years, I think I paid like $450 for it back in around 2008. More than 10 years actually. But most refractometers have this little on the back of it. If you get Annie talking here for 30 seconds, I'll run and grab one. Annie, okay. Go shoot.
Yeah, go. What am I gonna say?
I don't know. Keep it up.
My job is always, my mind is always my worst enemy. And I wanted to read a quote by Eckhart Tolle because he's who I really love and woke me up to this world. He says, your mind's an instrument. It's a tool. It's to be used for a specific task. And when that task is completed, lay it down. So try not to drive yourself crazy overthinking everything going on in this world, especially right now.
Amen to that. So refractometers come in these nice little cases, okay? But in order to make it fit in the case, the first thing you do, we'll take it out of this plastic, is it's going to be screwed. The eyepiece, this is an adjustment for being able for the scale that you look through so you can see what the scale is. So the first thing you got to do is take this thing out. You're going to hold it level whenever you're testing it, and you want light to be coming in here. That come in through this on this side, because the light enters here and then you're looking through it. A refractive index is what you're doing. How much does whatever you put on there refract the beam of light, which gives an idea of the amount of total dissolved solid that's in there. So when you're looking through here, I turn it until it becomes, hey, now I can see the scale inside there. All you do is you pick this little thing up, you put a nice big drop of urine on there, close it slowly, and don't have it over you in case you splashed it all over yourself, right? And then you basically look through it, and it should read hopefully 1.5 to 2. And then when you're done, you just take a piece of toilet paper and you go and you wipe it off, and you're done. If you feel like you got to sterilize it, spray it with some alcohol. But we just clean them off. I have one of these at home, keep it in the bathroom, and I keep a cup with a little dropper. You use these little droppers, and you just pee in a cup, put a drop right there. And then to make sure it's calibrated, you just put distilled water on it. So you put a drop of distilled water on there, close it easy, and then you look through it, say, okay, it's above 0. And if it's above 0 and distilled water does not read 0, this little plastic piece right here pulls off that covers up an access for.
Doesn't matter. 0, capital MBKU. 0, capital M, B as in boy, K, and then U, and then a lowercase b. No, all uppercase. Lowercase b. Here we go. Oh, come on. Shove it up here. we should. Let's see what happened. Are we live?
Are we back again?
I think we are. Let me check here.
Anybody giving 5 by 5 saying we're back on? Hello, everybody. Hopefully we're back. We had a little bit of technical difficulty.
Man, I'm not sure what happened. Zoom just kind of fell away. All of our signal went. Let's see here. Still not hearing back from anyone. Jump in here.
Did we get Zoom bombed? Oh!
We did get Zoom bombed. Let's see. I think we are back.
Okay. People make comments. I'm going to close that door because I'm hearing the feedback.
I got it. Go ahead.
Got it? Okay. All right. We're live again. So where was I? What were we talking about?
That I don't know.
Any questions out there?
Let me see here. We did have one good question about the foot bath. I have to find it. Ordered in Alimtox Detox. Does it take the minerals out of your body? Good question.
There is a question about whether foot baths do take out minerals, and because that, nobody has ever been able to specifically say yes or no. But anytime you're using electro or iontophoresis, in the hydrolysis, where you're running an electrical current in your body's in that field, there's going to be things that are going to be attracted, and there's going to be things that are going to be repelled, that are going to be, driven into the body, and things that are going to be attracted out. So is it possible to have minerals come out? Of course. But if that mineral is electrochemically bound, if that mineral is being utilized electrically in your body as part of a cell, it's not going to pull it from that. What it's going to do is pull the inorganic minerals that are floating around as waste. So whenever you're testing your urine conductivity, what is that? It's salt and it's ureas. It's waste that are going to have minerals in there also. Why do you think that we tell people to avoid sea salt and Himalayan salt? It's because it drives up that conductivity. It, massively drives it up. And what's in there that's driving it up? Minerals that the body's not able to process. They're off frequency. They're not able to be utilized. So yeah, I would turn around and say, if you're concerned about that, to have some trace minerals at the end of it. The fulvic mineral. Whoa! Almost spilled my tea. But the fulvic minerals, that we use, are wonderful. We do a shot glass after you get out of a sauna. If you're concerned after a foot bath, then do a shot of some ionic minerals.
You're going to have to jump back on about the refractometer. That's what we were talking about.
Refractometer? I thought I was done with it.
Well,
I hope.
I think we lost it because that's when the video broke up. So maybe hit on all of those again.
Okay.
Restart.
Restart. Deja vu. Refractometer. So basically, I know I got to opening the case and telling you that you have to adjust it. And basically, the eyepiece turns, and this is how you turn it until you see that the scale that you see on the inside becomes clear. You hold these things flat when you're looking at them so light can enter into this little section right here where underneath this flap. And then if it's like I talked about, you put urine on it an hour and a half, 2 hours after a meal. In reality, you can test your urine every time you pee and put a drop on here. And if you learn your patterns, you're going to start seeing when I crash, when I go high, when I'm stable, what do I do to eat or drink? It's telling you, am I drinking enough water? Am I eating the wrong foods? It'll spike up high if you're eating the wrong foods. But to calibrate these things, you just put a drop of distilled water on there, close this, have the light coming through. This little plastic rubber piece comes off, and then you get a little mini screwdriver. You put the screwdriver in while you have the distilled water, and while you're looking at it, you adjust the screwdriver until distilled water reads exactly 0. You'll see the scale on the inside kind of become white, and the white that comes up from the bottom tells you what your reading is. So these are wonderful little cheap instruments that tell you amazing amount of information about your health and well-being. You have sugar regulation, people. You have energy regulation. Your sugars dictate, your body's ability to generate energy and what's available for oxygen as well. So when your sugars are too low, your oxygen availability is low. When your sugars are too high, your oxygen availability is down also. And so what we try to do is just to learn your pattern. If you understand your pattern, you understand how energy is moving through your body. Any other questions out there, Annie?
No, let's see. Red Label did say that he ordered I lost it. Let's see. He ordered an air purifier and really enjoyed having Paula Childers on, and said that I wish we could get more info on the product and, talk to her a little more.
I talked to Paula. She was so nervous doing that show about Alum Talk. She had never gone on YouTube before. It was like I called her 15 minutes before because we talked the previous day, and it was really funny because I'm like, well, it's a 3-hour difference. What's your best time of day? She said 11 or 12. I'm like, okay, we'll do the show at 3 o'clock, and that way it's around 11, 12. I called her just like 15 minutes before 3, and she said, 3 your time? Oh my God. And I was like, I already had the show up and everything. I got to dry my hair. My son's going to hear. I'm going to hand him the phone, get him hooked up and everything. And so she had her son get the Zoom meeting going and everything to do the show. And then the lighting in her place was horrible. I'm like, can you bring some more lights in there? Because we even started about 4 or 5 minutes later and they were putting lights. And so I said, listen, Paula, I think we're going to redo this show. I want you to go when you do these shows, because I met them at the conference here outside of Somerset in Seven Spring Ski Resort when I do the Mother Earth News Fair, and they were there and they had this big banner, about foot detox, and they have their machines out. I'm like, Paula, you need to go and set your banner up, put your thing on a table, get good lighting, set up your camera right beside there, and let's redo this show. Because when you're watching the show, she's wearing dark clothing, and below her the cabinet was dark, and she's got this glowing fish tank behind her. And I'm like, we need to change the decor a little bit. But overall, it's a wonderful product. Ionic foot baths are just nice products to have, and just help to cleanse and help to attract things. They stimulate a process in the body that helps the body to get rid of and eliminate things, and it starts a detoxification process in the body. And so with her, we turned around, and if you call her, the whole idea was those machines sell for $1,299. And I talked her into selling them to anybody who calls and mentions it for $1,000 to give a $300 discount, so people can own these things on their own for $1,000 by just mentioning that they heard it from Doc Misak. And so it's the show. It's product highlights on Alum Talks. Foot baths are great. I've been doing them since around 2003 in my office. And right now we can't do any services, so we don't have anybody coming for that type of thing. But I really miss having the people around.
Mm-hmm. We have one question from Marty. He's asking, said a friend asked him about distilled water with minerals for babies. Is it better for adults than just plain distilled water?
Well, in reality, you can test the baby and test their urine. You catch their urine and you just can see that conductivity and that pH. And with babies, when kids get up to about, below a year, I'll literally give them a half a capsule of Mincol, calcium phosphate. Why? Their bones are growing, people. And what are your bones composed of? Calcium phosphate. So usually up to about a year, I'll do about a half a capsule of Mincol in their food and stuff like that. Between 1 and 4, we'll do 1 Mincol a day, like half a capsule twice a day. Once they're 4 years of age, we give 1 Mincol a day. But in reality, if you want to know if distilled water is too much, if you catch the baby's urine and you check the conductivity, you're going to see whether that baby's getting too much water and flushing things out at all. You could check again. I check the bricks and the conductivity, because that ratio, that sugar to salt ratio, tells us whether we're being efficient in our drinking and eating patterns also. So Anything else out there?
No, not right now. I wanted you to kind of talk about on KDKA this morning. You mentioned vitamin C. Of course, that's been a big hot topic, but you brought up the fact that you can just make bone broth and have some onions, and that's a good way to get vitamin C. I think maybe talking about some diet things to help support zinc and vitamin C and those kinds of things might be interesting. Be interesting to me.
There you go. Like this, yeah, I did a KDKA show this morning. We talked about vitalometry, but it more or less became talking about general aspects of what I'm doing and stuff like that. And he kept bringing up the aspects of coronavirus and where people are and the importance. Vitamin C is one of the nutrients that's most important. I still have some. I have some buffered vitamin C that's available right now. I have a couple of a Truly vitamin C powder. I have a couple of the raw vitamin C by Garden and Life. But I give vitamin C based upon pH. If you're below 6.4, you definitely need vitamin C. But the ideal source, according to Dr. Reams, was stewed onions. And so he would have people eat onion soup, regularly to get their vitamin C. And so basically, get a quart of, organic grass-fed beef broth, or those of you who are staying away and vegetarian, then do some vegetable broth. And I usually add Bragg's aminos if I do vegetable broth. But then use a quart of that, add a little bit of distilled water, add some garlic, add some basil, something like that, and then chop up onions, lots of them. Use a lot of green onions, use whole onions, and then let them just slow cook. Let them stew. And but Ream showed that stewed onions and onion soup is one of the best sources of bioavailable vitamin C without making your body acidic. And so, hey, people, make a huge pot of vitamin C and have a bowl of make a huge pot of vitamin C. Make a huge pot of onion soup once a week and have a bowl of onion soup every night.
You did it again.
Let's get off the subject. I can't even say it right.
Oh, man. Okay, let's see. Another question. What causes prostate swelling? From Abby.
Prostate. Well, Abby, if you're a girl, you don't have a prostate.
Asking for her husband, I would assume.
Okay. So prostate swelling, basically any inflammation process, something's going on there. One of the mechanisms they find is this thing called dihydrotestosterone, is a source of testosterone that's triggering this off. And so the drug finasteride or Proscar actually is to inhibit that enzyme. Guess what else inhibits the formation of dihydrotestosterone? Zinc. And so zinc is one of the main minerals that you'll give with any guy who is low in zinc. And we have a basic zinc test where you can put some zinc solution in your mouth. And if it tastes like water, then you're zinc deficient. Another way is looking at your nail beds and just looking at your nails. And if you have white spots in your nails, you're probably low on zinc. That's that's one of the natural things. I wish I had a basic natural way of identifying deficiencies of multiple minerals. There used to be one where you could put a blood pressure cuff on a calf and pump up the blood pressure calf. And if you reached a certain pound before you got cramping, then you were calcium deficient. But zinc testing is one that's been around for a long time. It's a solution. I used to get it from Standard Process, and I can also get it from Premier Research Labs. You squirt this stuff in your mouth, and if you don't taste it, if it tastes like water, then you're probably zinc deprived and you need some. But prostate swelling, everybody's going to turn around and say, hey, you need African pygeum and saw palmetto and beta-sitosterol and lycopene and amino acids, alanine, valine, and glycine. And, we could talk about all of these functional medicine or herbal medicines, or, you need to take a product. Bottom line, there's an issue where that prostate has not been nourished, with circulation and gotten what it needs to be healthy. A lot of times, from a nutritional, from a mineral standpoint, that's zinc deficiency. So zinc is one of the places that we're going to start whenever you see that type of thing going on. You're going to see pumpkin seeds and things like that have essential fats. Why? Because essential fats help control inflammation. So taking fish oils and pumpkin seed oil and things like that can actually help in those type of things. And then some of those other things, those sterols, particularly beta sitosterol, is found in a lot of nutritional supplements for the same basic reason to help to control that inflammation process. And for some reason it gravitates towards the prostate. There's a doctrine of signatures in herbs. So hawthorn. If you look at a hawthorn berries, they're red and they can have the heart-shaped kidney beans. They're shaped like a kidney, are good for the kidneys. Walnuts, they look like a brain. Well, what are they good for? Your brain. And so there's a signature that goes along with certain plants and things that's already trying to tell us that it's good for these things, that we're connected. Let's go back to the avatar, mm-hmm. And that we're connected, and this planet offers us certain things. And so there's wonderful information about herbs and stuff. But bottom line, if you take RBTI and you look at an inflammation process, bottom line, it's a less than 100% efficient cell. And your cells are meant to be replaced, not fixed. So God's in the business of restoring by giving you brand new healthy cells. So when a cell is less than 100% efficient, what happens is usually from calcium utilization, from if you use ionization theory, that depletion of calcium leads to space within that cell. And what fills that space is water. And as water fills that space, what happens? It inflames. But what you've already got is a cell that's less than 100% energy efficient. It's now a delta or an omega cell. Omega cells are basically dead. Delta cells are less than efficient, less than 100% efficient, but they're still functioning. But what happens when there's less than 100% efficient cells is that they can get separated by control of our body and our electrical system. And so Reams called them carcinoid cells, which today people refer to as cancer, and I'm not going to turn around and but everybody's got carcinoid cells in them. That's why whenever you pee, if you run a beam of light through that urine sample and you see those little particles floating, those are dead cells. Those are omega cells, that your body has finally eliminated. And so if you have bloodshot eyes, all the time, then you are not eliminating your less than 100% efficient cells effectively, and they're irritating your circulatory system. Wow. And so there's so much that Reams taught us that in observation and stuff like that we, let's get over this COVID stuff and back to teaching RBTI, in my opinion. But right. I don't know if people have been aware, but there's a new website. And it's, one of the things that I had a hard time with for years, and I had somebody come to me and say, look, doc, you got to stop promoting your product, which I don't do in my clients, but you got to stop promoting your practice. You need to promote you, and so because what people want is what and so and at the same time, you can't all be my clients. I can't handle the load, especially right now, doing almost everything on my own without having to have an open business to where I have employees here right now. And so I'm still doing phone consults. I'm still doing, I'm still having people pick up, and I'm still shipping products out to you and things like that. And right now my life is more busy than ever, because doing the work of 5 employees, I'm coming in early and I'm leaving later, but if I wasn't able to do that, I'd have the same fears and anxieties as those who can't work. And like that $1,200 stimulus check just didn't cut crap, that went in 2 weeks, and so it's stressful times right now. And so I don't know why.
That's all right. But we got a couple questions here concerning vitamin D. Red Label says, vitamin D while in the home. I'll assume he wants to know what can I do by not going outside to get my vitamin D. But further, how much vitamin D can I get from 30 minutes of sun exposure on my skin? Linda asks. I've heard that sunburn is not a problem if there's low inflammation in the body.
Yeah, well, I would agree. It's not good to get those burn cycles because it kills cells, and those burning cycles is what they suspect is associated with skin cancer, but it's never really been confirmed. But they do know that there's cell death in that. I think it's like I don't remember, but like an hour or 30 minutes of the sun or an hour or so, you can generate like 50 or 100,000 units of vitamin D. It's amazing how much you can generate by just getting out in the sun for a short period of time. And don't be scared to go outside. Right now is probably the purest air that you would be breathing in your lifetime because of the
Definitely here in Pittsburgh.
yeah. I mean, seriously, if you go and you look, there are people who are. If you go and look at the national, the satellite images of air pollution and things that are going on right now, even in Los Angeles and people places like Pittsburgh, it's not flagging in red, and like don't go out and breathe the air. This is some of the best air that you're ever going to get exposed to in your life. And if you're wearing a mask, it's only going to be even filtered even more for you, right?
Yeah.
Get outside, people.
Couple questions here concerning 5G EMF stuff. So Jackie asks, is there a specific detox for EMF waves? And then Marty wants to know, will Q-Link help us with 5G?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Q-Link claims. I mean, you can't get away from 5G. You can, because those wavelengths are there. But what you can do is modulated. So things like Q-Links, things like Altera, they make the things that you can plug in. EarthCalm, they have, again, items that you can plug in. They used to have a Nova resonator. They have their sanctuary bracelets or sanctuary necklaces that are modulating. You can use shungite as a coal, as a charcoal mineral that's been shown to modulate EMF and negate the negative effects of it. But anybody claiming, I got a new product called BioArc. It's based upon. They found that even using symbolism of the what do they call the ancient symbols, geometrics. I can't think of it. Sacred geometry. Sacred geometry is the word I'm looking for. But even those symbols modulate energy frequencies and modulate, what's going on around you. So I can't make claims for any company. Even the ones that I bought that's sitting there saying that they created it to modulate and have an effect with 5G. They turn around and they do a lot of them are just doing live blood. Let me do your blood. Let me have you wear this necklace for 24 hours. Let me do your blood again. I can tell you that, based upon how you eat in that 24 hours, that blood sample can change, and we can't directly associate that. Like, when I was doing Alum Talk, she talked about that. Hey, we have people turn around and do an Alum Talks foot bath detox, and then 48 hours later, do their blood before and then 48 hours later, because they talk about the aspect of stimulating a detox in the body. And then 48 hours later, their live blood looked better. Well, that 48 hours, if you tell somebody to fast, or if you tell somebody to only eat fruits and vegetables or whatever, yeah, it can make a huge difference. So, I don't use live blood to verify things. And I've seen live blood used for EMF. Hey, we put this on and now the blood's good. But what a lot of times they do is they'll go and they'll look through the slide and they'll find a part of the slide that looks good, and then they'll pop it on the TV and say, see, look how good it looks. Now you need to buy my snake oil, And so I that's really, people who use dark field and live blood microscopy in that realm to promote the sale of a product is wrong, because you could turn around and, if I could turn around and say, okay, I checked your blood. Now I'm going to have you do a foot bath. I've done nothing other than that. I'm not even going to give you anything to drink. And then we'll check your blood again. And at the end of that foot bath, we'll see if it made a difference. Then that would be something that say, hey, there might be something to this, but there's too many variables when they have that time frame in between. And same with EMF. There's too many, they're all using the same basic technology. They're using crystals that have specific frequencies and crystals that negate, that absorb negative energy or absorb energy to keep you from being to modulate the stress of the EMF that you're being in. Otherwise, there are, even rosemary historically has been shown, calendula has been shown, herbs to help with electromagnetic field or radiation toxicity. There are remedies called, what are they called? They're vibrational. They're homeopathics. Geopathic stress. They're vibrational or homeopathic remedies for geopathic stress are using homeopathic dilutional frequencies of things to tell the body, from a standpoint of like a no-sode or Allersode or a Sarcode. These ode remedies are based upon using something that causes a disorder and diluting it down homeopathically and saying, take this to stimulate your body. And that's why I formulated that flu virus no-sode and put a coronavirus imprint on it. And that's what we use in our, with all my clients. I've, made hundreds of these things for people and getting them out to people. And so far I have had nobody turn around and claim to have gotten corona that's worked with me. But I don't know whether that's happened because I don't follow up with everybody daily. And the other thing is I've had 2 people claim that they were convinced that their spouses had corona and they started using that no-sode in combination with immune boosting and colloidal silver. And within 72 hours, the intensity of everything was gone and they were better. And then they had this little, hacking little cough that consisted for a little while, for a while after that. So, but those are just, you could call that gossip. It's anecdotal evidence. It's not hydroxychloroquine and it's not a Z-Pack. And I don't understand why a Z-Pack, zithromycin, an antibiotic that's focused in on bacteria and does not have any viral activity, is helping with a virus, because there's a stinking bacteria associated with this virus as a co-infection, but they're not talking about that. I don't know why, but if you go and you really look at the science of what people have identified with this, is that there's some bacteria attached to in association with this, and makes you wonder how that happened. But go ahead. Any other questions?
No, I don't have anything else out here.
Well, I think we're near an hour then. I think that, yeah, it's a good time to, keep it right under that hour aspect. Without questions, what do I talk about, people? I'll raid for a while, get on a soapbox, and I don't want it to be that. I want it to be something that says, hey, we're all good. This is an opportunity for us to get reconnected, get out in nature, look at, there are books on foresting, get out in the forest and it lowers your blood pressure, and get out in the sun and it raises your vitamin D and your immune activity, and get out and breathe the best air that you've been able to breathe for a long time, and your house, if you want to say where's the sickest place to be and to get sick, is locked up inside the same stinking house with closed windows because it's cold outside, because you're breathing the same stinking air, because because we do so much to seal our homes up. And
are you saying maybe do some Wim Hof?
Yeah.
Do some cold therapy. See how
Let's do some cold-based therapy and Wim Hof and breathing aspects, and meditation lengthens your telomeres and finding who you are.
It's wonderful. If you are struggling mentally, give it a go. Yeah. It's changed my life.
Well, Annie, I'm good for the day. How about yourself?
We're good. Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, people, I'm going to tell you, hang in there. I'm going to be back again next Saturday morning. Until then, check out docmisak.com. DOCMISAK, docmisak.com. If you don't have a thumbs up right now with watching this show, please do hit that thumbs up button before you leave. Just the more that we get, those numbers help people to find these shows. Share Doc Misak. If you share docmisak.com with your people, with your friends, they're going to find that there's a YouTube show. They're going to find, if they're interested in vitalometry, they're going to find these type of things that'll be available to them. So my bladder with this tea is about to explode. So I'm going to go. And I could just say, be blessed, everybody. Thank you for tuning in once again. Take care.